Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make keychain wristlets using faux leather and polypropylene webbing. To get started, the supplies you're going to need are Gorilla Super Glue. I like the type that has the brush. Any kind of charms that you want to add to your keychain. These little tassels here I got on Amazon. It came with all these colors and they were pretty inexpensive. You're also going to want a jump ring to attach this to. You're going to want the key fob hardware. This is the hardware that attaches to the faux leather. You can find these on Amazon. I found a set of 36 with 3 different colors. These are 1 inch. These are 1 inch or 25 millimeters. And my kit also came with the pliers, but if you can't find a kit, you're definitely going to want some of these pliers to clamp that shut, the hardware. These are called glass running pliers, jaws pliers. There's different names for these, but see how they're wide at the top? And then you're going to want the silicone tops on them. Those slide off, but that helps prevent your hardware from denting. You're going to want 2 pairs of needle nose pliers to help attach the charms or tassels to your keychain. And it's always handy to have a pair of scissors. You're also going to want to have a paper cutter to cut your faux leather, or if you have a machine, that will work great too. I have the Cricut Maker machine, and I like to use both. If I'm using faux leather that's just a solid pattern, or I'm sorry, consistent pattern, and it doesn't matter, then I like to use the machine. But if I have a pattern where I want to make sure I get, let's say, this cat on there, or at least part of the cat, then I like to use my paper cutter so that I have more control over what's being cut. You're also going to want what is called polypropylene webbing. You can find that on Amazon. I bought a package of 8 colors. It was 8 by 5 yards by a company called Hip Girl. The webbing is 1 1/4 inch. This is a little bit wider than the strip of faux leather that you're going to cut out. So this is 1 1/4 inch. And I'm sorry, this is not 1 1/4 inch. Please ignore that. This is 1 inch. You want this webbing to be the same size, the same width as your hardware. So my hardware is 1 inch. You're also going to want the webbing to be 1 inch. So this is 1 inch webbing. So please ignore that. You want 1 inch webbing for the 1 inch hardware. Okay. You're also going to want a sewing machine. And I have my laptop connected to my Cricut Maker machine. Alright, let's get started. The first thing you're going to do is cut out your material. And if you plan on using design space, you can do that easily by just clicking on shapes. Click on a square. Then go up to size and type in 0.75 inches for your width and 12 inches for your height. Okay, and that's going to give you these strips like this big. Okay, then you're going to run it through your machine, and this is what it looks like. So here's your faux leather piece right here. Or this paper cutter is great with faux leather, by the way, also found on Amazon. you can use this. Placing it in here, if you just take this edge and match it up over here, close it and cut it, it's going to give you the width that you're going to want for this project. Okay, you're also going to cut your webbing 12 inches as well. The webbing can be a little bit longer than your faux leather, so maybe a little bit like that, because in the end you're going to want to trim. The webbing likes to unravel a little bit at the top, so I found that if you cut a little bit extra, that is better than making it the same size and then it unraveling and it being too short. So if you cut just a little bit extra, in the end, after we sew it, we can trim off that extra webbing at the top, make it nice and straight across. So we are ready to begin making the keychain wristlet on the sewing machine. You're going to want to check your settings. In my manual it says to use the leather/vinyl settings for artificial leather. So I've set those already. I've also changed my foot to H, which is a plastic footing. This footing will grab the faux leather better than the other footing that was on there that I used for cotton fabric. So make sure you check your settings and your foot before you begin this project. Now you're going to take your webbing and place your faux leather on top, right in the middle. And you're going to want to probably do a few test runs till you get a hang of this. I don't know if you have some scrap pieces of faux leather, but I have found that certain faux leather, I just could not get my machine to grab it. The best faux leather I found was the type that's, when you feel it, it looks a little bit textured. Not pebbled, but textured. And then the back doesn't have that super soft white backing. This is just more stiff feeling, so to say. But this faux leather worked the best. But you're going to want to try it out before you begin on your actual strips that you're going to make a keychain. Another thing is it takes a little bit of time to practice holding this nice and steady so that the machine doesn't grab it, and sometimes it's going to want to pull this webbing, and then what happens, it gets all bunched up. My first thought was maybe I could take some heat and bond and iron this onto here so that it wouldn't shift. Do not do that. I found that heat, when you put heat on this polypro webbing, it'll shrink it. This webbing will shrink when you apply heat, so do not do that. So you might, I'm not really sure what else. You can try using clothespins to clamp it so that it holds still. I don't really recommend using pins because then you're going to have little holes in your faux leather. But for me, the best thing I found is just to hold it steady as I go along. So I'm going to go ahead, make sure you can see this. You're going to go ahead and you're going to stitch right here from this top, go all the way down, okay? Then once you're done, flip it and do this side all the way down. Then you're going to take it out, turn it this way, and do a stitch across. Back and forth, back and forth. And do the same thing for this side. Okay, so I don't have my machine on. I'm going to save you that much time there, but you know, clamp it down, it's gonna want to slip on you, so you gotta hold on it pretty tight. Give it a little tiny push, but not too much. I'm gonna sew it. Okay. So like I said, sew on this side, take it out, sew it on the other side, take it out, then you're going to sew across. And I like to go across and then back, across and back a few times. And also when you first start the project, make sure when you start you're going and then hit your back button and back stitch. But if you know how to sew, you probably know to do that anyways. So once you have that all together, now you're going to put the hardware on. To attach the hardware, use Gorilla Super Glue. Use the brush and paint a thin layer on this flat side first. See, there's a flat side and then there's a side with the teeth. So do the flat side first. That's going to be the front of your keychain. So make sure that your design, the pattern, is going to be the front. And you just stick it on there like so. Hold it a few minutes, or a few seconds I should say, like this. Just give it a good squeeze. Then you're going to flip it over and put glue on the teeth side. So put glue on the teeth side. Then you're going to take this, line it up so it's nice and straight. That's important too. When you do this, make sure it's nice and straight in there, because this part right here, remember I said to leave a little bit extra? Go ahead and cut that to make it as straight and even as possible. And then when you have it placed in here, make sure it's nice and straight. Alright. Now you have that glue on there, you got it lined up just right. You're going to take your pliers and you're going to place it like this. Okay. So the edge of the pliers are at the very end of your hardware here. Okay. Not in the middle or up, because then you could indent it. You're going to want the whole hardware kind of in there like that. And then you're going to squeeze really hard, and the teeth are going to clamp right into that faux leather, and it's going to be shut. Okay, here's the finished product. Now you can attach any kind of keychains, charms. I have a tassel on this one. And then you're all set. Very easy and very fun project. I hope that was helpful for you. If you have any questions, please leave the questions in the comments, and I always check back, and I like to answer everyone's comments, and I always like to say hello. Thank you for watching my channel. Please like, please share, and please subscribe. See you next time. Goodbye.